Right, welcome to Stayhumble podcast, Mcsherry. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, good. All things considered, there's a lot going on in the world at the moment. So, as you can imagine, there's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of uncertainty. But yeah, I suppose it's all about the mindset and overcoming it more than anything.
Yeah, it definitely is. Firstly, Matt, can you just give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, Matt Mcsherry, as Dave just said. So, I'm living in Hull at the moment. I'm a property sourcer and investor. I've been doing that now for, I'd probably say 2.5 years, but I'd probably say actively for the last year and a half. So the first year was pretty much just getting my head in the books, self-development, learning as much as I could, and then basically kick-started the actual business 1.5 years ago, and then I've been going ever since. So yeah, that's pretty much me. I mean, I know Dave, we went to school together.
We did indeed.
We had some good times there, good memories. And yeah, so it's been great that you've invited me on today. I think Stayhumble podcast is a brilliant concept, and I think you'll do well with it. So yeah, good work on that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's certainly a long time since we both went to school together. I still even remember going on like the same athletic teams and stuff like that. I remember the days when you were as a sprinter, and I used to do like long distance as well. I think even we did cross country together. That was an example of something. But
it started actually is the cross country, because I made that transition from long distance, and then I figured out that I was fast.
Yeah.
So then I went to sprinting.
I know.
So yeah,
it was a long time ago that.
Honestly, time's flying in at the moment.
It is. So today's topic and discussion is that we want to talk about is like finding your purpose through self-development. And obviously I look at a lot of your sort of social media and sort of what you do in your day-to-day tasks, and you obviously cover that a lot in your sort of posts. So firstly, I wanted to ask you, how did you first find your purpose in terms of what you're doing with your like property development business now?
So I suppose it stems back from my traveling times. So I went traveling in October 2014. Now I went for 26 months, and I didn't come back to England at all. I literally stayed traveling for that amount of time. And I'd probably say that's the kind of penny drop moment, because before I went traveling, I was pretty much in a rut. I didn't really have a purpose. I kind of grew up with a very sporty kind of background and thought sport was where I needed to be, because that's where my passions lied, and I suppose that's where my skill sets were. And I just assumed that was going to be my route. But then when I started doing my personal training course and got into it, I was like, this is not what I want to do. So I was bouncing around different jobs with no clear purpose. And as Arnold Schwarzenegger says, if you haven't got a clear purpose or a clear goal, it's like a pilot flying, and with no destination in sight, it's just going to fly around, and eventually run out of fuel, and it's just going to crash and burn. So it's the same concept with us. So it pretty much got to that, and I was thinking, do I go to university? Do I go to college? Do I follow the kind of social norm? And I thought, no, this is not what I want to do. So I decided basically that I was going to go traveling. So I just got my head down, saved up a fair bit of money, and then booked a one-way ticket to Thailand, and then traveled pretty much. And to be honest with you, it was a traveling that really, as cliche as it sounds, pretty much found myself. I've got all the partying on my system, and I've got all that, just going out and having the autonomy and flexibility and the freedom to do what you want, when you want. You can go where you want, and going on your own as well is quite. I think it's a really educational kind of way of learning about life and learning different skill sets. Because you've got to stand on your own 2 feet. You've got to cater for yourself. You've got to learn how to travel. You've got to learn how to stay safe. You've got to learn how to budget your money. So that's pretty much where it stemmed from. I was traveling, meeting all these different people from different backgrounds, different nationalities. And then, it was pretty much, I'd probably say, the last 6 months of my traveling. So I started, I went to a few meditation courses and stuff. There was a 10-day retreat that I went on to. It's called Vipassana Meditation. It was in Burma. Now, it was basically 10 days of pure silence. You wasn't allowed to take any technology. I had it all taken off you. You weren't allowed pen and paper or anything. It was literally just me, myself, and I for 10 days straight. And the people that were there was guys and girls were segregated and separated. And then it was just basically 10 hours a day of meditation, absolute silence. And it was just, it was, I found it quite tough the first few days, but after that, it was quite, it was quite blissful, just having that time to yourself and, recapping on the things that you've done and the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
And I think it was that moment where I realized, like, I didn't want to just go back and live the normal social norm kind of day-to-day grind, if you like. I wanted to do something different, set up my own business. And then it was from that meditation that I picked up my first book. I never used to be a reader at all. And I read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I read that, and it was just like a message instantly just come out at me. And it was like, right, yeah, you're on the right track. You need to set up your own business. I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do, but I just knew I wanted to set up my own business. And then that's pretty much where the journey of self-development started, reading books, learning, educating myself. And then I came home and just continued that. And I suppose this is where it's led me to where I am now.
It's quite a story that to go sort of like traveling and find your purpose that way. I think a lot of people seem to do that in their 20s now. They seem to not know what they want to do, and something like that has that sort of effect. Like you say, you've gone to sort of the extent of a meditation where you took away from everything, and then you've been able to find your sort of purpose from that now, which is really interesting to find that out from yourself. What other books would you say have shaped you in terms of that personal or business sort of life that you would lead now?
I'd probably say the first few books that really had a massive effect in my life was, again, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I think if anyone wants to get into business, that's probably the first book you want to go to.
Yeah,
because it gives you a very in-depth understanding of, assets, liabilities, good money, good debt, bad debt, different way of thinking. So having that kind of transition of a poor dad mindset compared to a rich dad mindset.
Yeah.
That's probably the other book that really kind of had an impact in my life. And then, I mean, I've got a massive list I could go on, but I'll probably say another one which is really good and really good for emotional intelligence is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
I'm reading that right now.
Really, that book I literally studied it. I was reading each chapter twice over to make sure it obviously really went in. And then I used to put little post-it notes, highlighters a lot, and just whenever I come against an opportunity, come against some sort of experience or something that like in business or just day-to-day life, I refer back to it, because you can always look at it and go, right, this is what I experienced, this is what I should have done, or this is what I can do moving forward. So I always refer to that. But I'd probably say they're the three main books that really had a massive impact. But then since then I've read and listened to loads of books. But I mean, I can definitely send you over a list of what I think is the best books to get into.
Reading list.
Yeah, definitely. And I can share them with you. And if you want to post it on your show notes or something, happy with that.
Great. Yeah, I definitely agree with Dale Carnegie. Like I say, I'm reading it right now, and I'm always highlighting things from it. And I'm using a 6-minute daily diary each day. And one of the topics in there is like a daily affirmation. And I'm quite regularly using some quote from that to put as my daily affirmation. So something to take with me to work in terms of getting to know maybe members of staff that I work with or the children I work with, and try to use that as a way of maybe building more of a connection with people. I certainly think it's helping me, and it's a great way of doing that, is that book. And I'd certainly recommend that as well.
Yeah, I agree.
What courses as well would you say have shaped your sort of business and personal life as well? Has there been some things in terms of that's influenced you?
Do you know what I'd probably say is, the courses give you the knowledge, but it's the community that you introduce to within the courses that really made a change in my life, I think. Because I've spent, thousands on courses and stuff, and some people will look at courses and go, it's just, you're just being conned, But the way I look at it, it's an investment in yourself, and the money that you're putting into these courses, if you take the action, you listen to the blueprint, you follow it, you don't deviate away from it, you stick to it, you will eventually, reach success. And to be honest with you, the courses that I've done anyway, I've paid them back anyway. So it was definitely an investment, and I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for doing them courses. So, but yeah, in terms of the actual education side, it's great for education because it just fast tracks your education. Because chances are, you could probably find a lot of the information free on YouTube, on other things and stuff like that. But the way you've got to look at it is you wouldn't be involved in it in a community of like-minded people who want to change their life for the better as well. And it's them that you use almost as accountability, as motivation, because you start seeing them doing things. You're like, wow, I met you at the same time, and you're doing X, Y, and Z. And then you use that as a motivation to move forward quicker. So I'd probably say the community is the biggest thing that I was involved in, that really pushed me forward. And then the education, obviously, that's just obviously helped you, give you the knowledge to take the action.
Of course, so that's definitely a key aspect I'd like to ask you later on about, is obviously the community aspects in terms of your job. So what's the best things have you learned from them sort of community things in terms of your courses? Like, what is it, like the sort of groups in terms of like connections outside of it, or is it just the sort of the sharing of information? Or
Yeah, pretty much all of that and much more. So, I mean, as the saying goes, your network is your net worth. And I always look at that and go, oh, a bit cliche that. But it's so bloody true, because if it wasn't for my network, I wouldn't have done some of the deals that I've done. I wouldn't have met some of the people I've done and the JVs that I've done. So, and that was all through going through courses and being introduced to these communities. Because you not only share people's experience, because chances are you're going to meet people who are, years advanced as to what you are and where you are in your journey. And if you can actually, take upon yourself to introduce yourself to them, to communicate with them, and almost look at them as a bit of an inspiration and a kind of mentor to a degree as well, then you're going to learn from their mistakes. They're going to share with you the mistakes they've made, and chances are you're not going to make them because you've learned from them.
Yeah.
So again, that fast tracks you as well, because you're learning from other people. So everyone in the community is happy to share knowledge. They're happy to share contacts. So, if there's someone like a quantity surveyor, an accountant, a solicitor, any part of the power team, people introduce you to them. So people that you wouldn't usually have access to, you've instantly got access to just by asking people. So there's so many different things. It's a sharing of knowledge. It's having the contacts. It's the motivation. It's accountability. So there's so many different factors that come into it. But that's why I always say that if you're on the fence about getting into some sort of course, mastermind group or something like that, I wouldn't even hesitate. If it's the area of which you want to focus on and you really want to grow and prosper at, go for it, even if it costs you money, because it's an investment in yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people should take this opportunity to invest themselves right now.
Yeah.
What helps keep you accountable each day? So is there any habits or motivations or routines that you put yourself daily through? Is there anything that you could share of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, habits is key at the end of the day. I think building habits is essential to be able to build your focus and your discipline, because habits take like 66 days to really cement into your subconsciousness. So it's kind of like breaking them down and building them habits over that 66-day period. Now, it's not easy, because at the end of the day, to break any bad habits, that can take some serious discipline to be able to do. And it's so easy, like even like getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning. Like, I'll hold my hands up. Through lockdown, it's been difficult. And at the end of the day, I'm only human. But I have been getting up I'm basically a part of a community called the 5 a.m. Club. And that's every Tuesday and Thursday. So I'm always up every Tuesday and Thursday at 5 a.m. I try to get up between 5 and 6 every day off my own back as well. So I'm in that kind of transition period now of getting myself back into developing that habit again. Because before lockdown, I was absolutely fine. Like, the habits were there. They were instilled in my subconsciousness. But as a lockdown, it pretty much just threw everything off, because it's just so unexpected. But going back to the habits, I think building solid habits, whether that's, focusing on self-development, maybe an hour a day, whilst you're driving, listening to podcasts or listening to audibles rather than listening to music.
Yeah.
Getting up earlier in the morning, going to bed a little bit earlier at night so you get your right amount of sleep. Because I'm a massive advocate of making sure you get the relevant amount of sleep for yourself. So for me, I work better on about 7 hours, 8 hours even better. But 7 hours is like my prime time. I can function well on that. Anything below, I don't function well. So there's so many different habits that you can build to help you with whether it's business, whether it's your job, day-to-day life, absolutely anything. But again, it does take 66 days to form a habit, and that's consistently doing it every day. Battling through the hard times, battling through the limiting beliefs that tell you can't do it. Habits are essential, and I think habits have been a key part to get me to where I am now as well.
Yeah, I've found, like, with habits lately is having a tracker. I think a tracker is something, writing it down, making sure you tick it off each day so you know that you've done it. Then you're going to keep that accountability to hopefully get towards that 66 day. And then you don't even need to start writing it down. You just do it naturally.
Exactly.
Sometimes you just need them prompts or something to sort of influence it a little bit more. That would help as well. So I think they're things that to think about. I'd
probably say with that as well, is the writing down. That's one of the things I'm a massive advocate of, because I've got a journal I write in all the time. And it's pretty much just, no matter how you're feeling, your highs, your lows, you write them down. And, I think another thing that I'm a massive advocate of as well is at the end of every day, just have your separate journal, but have a kind of an accountability journal, if you like, of writing down what you've achieved in that day, what haven't you achieved in that day, and why haven't you achieved it, and what could have you done different. And by doing that, you're assessing that day and basically looking at what you could have done better. Did you get distracted? Did you spend too much time on social media? Did you not read? Did you not, X, Y, and Z? So there's so many different things. And I think by writing that, it's easy to reflect it and go, right, actually, tomorrow I'm going to do this better. And I think that helps you to really get the most out of each day as well. So I think writing down is key. And it's the same with goals, making sure that you write clear and precise goals, on a monthly basis, weekly basis, daily basis, every 12 months, 18 months, and so on and so forth, even up to 20 years, because if you write it down, you're more than likely going to achieve it. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that with the goals. And I think you need to make sure that they're achievable as well. Don't set yourself goals that are just not, you're just not going to achieve them in, like, say, a month. You need to make sure they're measurable.
Yeah.
And make sure that they're the right fit, the right fit for you. I was trying to think. Yeah, I was just thinking about routines as well. Like, what sort of routine I know you said about you getting yourself up at 5 a.m. Is there any things that you like to try and have, like a morning or an evening routine, so that you're keep to that as part of your day-to-day life?
Yeah, well, that's part of the habit that I'm instilling again now. I've still always had it. Like, I think naturally, my morning routine now, regardless of whether I get up at 5 a.m. or not, I still go through the routine, just at different times, obviously. But in the morning, some may look at me and think I'm a bit of a psychopath, a bit of a strange one. But again, if you look at all the successful people in the world, I suppose I'm just pretty much copying some of what they do and taking like put my own spin on it. But when I get up in the morning, first thing I do is I down a pint of cold water, because when you wake up in the morning, that grogginess, that's pretty much that you're dehydrated. So if you smash a glass of like a pint of water in, that's going to replenish you and help boost your energy naturally. And then after I've done that, I go straight into a freezing cold shower. For a couple of minutes.
I'm an advocate for that.
Yeah, it's really good. I've done it honestly for the last probably 3 or 4 years now, religiously, regardless of how I'm feeling, if I'm feeling ill or anything like that, because it's got so many health benefits. Some of which I'll share with you, and you can put in the show notes or whatever, or I'll share on your pages, whatever. But yeah, so I do like cold shower first thing, and then usually I do a bit like gratitude meditation or something like that. I'll just sit in silence and just kind of like see what kind of thoughts are coming into my head, or just sit in silence. So usually do that for about 15 minutes or so. And then from then, I've actually just started doing a bit of Wim Hof's breathing techniques.
I've done that as well. I've done it off YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, and they're good. 15 minutes of that, I tell you what, it really stimulates you and really gets you like, well, I just feel as though my mind's just stimulated straight away. So I do like 15 minutes of that as well. And then usually a bit of affirmations, visualizations. And then sometimes I'll write down like 3 things I'm grateful for. So a bit of gratitude. And then, usually I've obviously got my goals that I've set the night before. So I'd look at them and go, right, this is what I need to be doing. And then I'd look at my day and go, right, what have I got in today? Add anything else that I think is necessary to get in that day, and then crack on with my day essentially. So I suppose the first thing I do in the morning as well is fitness. So that's kind of a part of my routine as well. So I'll go out, rather go for a walk, or when the gym's open, I'll usually be in the gym early on, and then get myself ready. And then that's my day started from then.
Yeah, that's great insight into like your morning routine. I think it's certainly something that I've thought about in my lockdown period, was that I needed to keep my morning routine. I wrote it down and make sure that I kept sticking to that, because if I went away from that, I'm going to fall off and I'm just going to get up late or not be productive as I want to be. But just having them things in place. I mean, even on a weekend, I still do them things. Yeah. I just want to keep it, carrying it right through. I wanted to ask you now was who has the biggest influence in your life, personally or business, that's had an effect in terms of how like it's led to where you are today?
To be honest, I think my biggest influence is my mum. She's kind of like the biggest driver who's got me to the kind of mindset I've got now. Because she's not had an easy life. She's been, through a lot of ups and downs and stuff. And like my mum was my best mate as well as my mum. And yeah, I think she's probably my biggest why, just to give her a better quality of life, than she's had. And just to be able to, get her out of a job and be a lady of leisure pretty much. And then, yeah, family as well, just my family in general, to be able to, help give my family that life that they've always wanted and deserved. So that they're my biggest factors, to be fair, that have really kind of helped push me forward in business.
That's great. Right. What I want to now move on to is a bit more about your business at the moment. So I know you've been back working a short while since obviously the restrictions have been lifted in terms of property. Yeah. And I wanted to just ask a little bit what you did in that time during lockdown. So you said about you ran a Mindset Matters mini-series. Can you tell us a little bit more of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously I'm a massive advocate of mindset, because people who know me from back in the day before I went traveling, I wouldn't even picked up a book. I wouldn't be talking about the mindset and stuff like that. And that's why I'm such an advocate of it, because I've gone through that process of making a massive shift in my mindset. So yes, I decided that I wanted to set up a kind of an interview series of why mindset matters. So I interviewed 5 different people who had different kind of business backgrounds, who all had really good, strong mindsets, who have overcome a lot, and people who were really successful in their chosen areas of business. So pretty much just went an interview on why mindset matters. So if anyone wants to, check them out, they are on my Instagram page at the True Property Group. So that's the main reason why I wanted to do it, because I wanted to kind of share with other people about why your mindset does matter, and why it's so essential for business.
It certainly is. Like you need your mindset in the right place, and making sure, just making sure like I was trying to think how to word that. Sorry. Just like it's important for your job to be in the right place and make sure of them things.
Business so what in general, to be honest with you, I think, because at the end of the day, you can use your mindset for absolutely everything. Like you can use your mindset to get out of a tricky situation by just overcoming the anger, controlling it. That's all mindset. Mindset of when you're nervous, overcoming that, being nervous and using it to your advantage and flipping it around. So your mindset comes in at, it's essential for living. And if you can be in control of your mindset, then you're in control of your life. That's where I look at it.
That's a great point, that. How has the market changed then since lockdown? What's been different for you to deal with?
Do you know what? It's really strange what's happened. Like I didn't expect it to make the turn that it's kind of made, because at the moment in time, I mean, we're definitely in a recession, regardless of what people say. I believe we are in a recession, and it does take, anything up to 6 months for, the government and stuff to really accumulate all the information and data that they need to actually say on media it's a recession. So I was thinking, right, well, it's going to come out, and I was thinking the property market was going to drop. And it's actually done the total opposite. If anything, the property market at the moment, as we're speaking, is stronger than it was before lockdown, which is quite strange. So at the moment, you're getting a lot of demand. So, I mean, a lot of my clients that I work with in terms of the sourcing aspect, they want properties. They're coming to me going, right, I want properties now. I'm like, right, cool. So I've got so much demand on the business, and I feel as though there's not enough stock on the market at the moment. Yeah. So what we're seeing is loads of demand, not enough stock. What happens? The prices of the property start to go up. Estate agents get quite bullish because they know that there's demand there, so that they can start rising prices a little bit. So that's what we're seeing at the moment. But me personally, this is my own viewpoint. I haven't got a crystal ball, so no one knows the answer to this question of what's going to happen with the property market. But me personally, I feel as though the government have massively propped up the economy at the moment, massively. They're boosting all this money into quantitative easing and stuff like that. And me personally, I feel as though once the furlough schemes finishes, like once the mortgage holiday stint finishes, I think that's when we're really going to see a significant change, potentially in the market. Whether it's going to drop or not, I do not know. But I think we're going to get a lot more stock on the market, because, I mean, there's already been a significant increase in the amount of people that have separated and divorced. So, I mean, that in itself, there's going to be people bringing up properties on the market for that. There's people who have died through COVID as well. Yeah, who are going to be the properties on the market. On top of that as well, people are going to be losing jobs. I mean, there's a massive increase in unemployment at the moment, which is absolutely tragic. And then you're going to get the stint of where people are not going to be able to pay the mortgages. They're going to have loans. They're going to have overheads that they're not going to be able to pay on a monthly basis. And it's only a matter of time before they go into massive default and they get repossessed, or they need someone to step in and buy the property. So again, that's where you're going to see a lot of stock coming on the market, and whether the demand is going to maintain, we just don't know. And then the likes of like mortgage companies, nationwide, I know they've cut back now on like the amount of mortgages they're giving out. Not just that, they've actually increased the deposit now, so you need like 15% plus on the deposit, which first time buyers, they're going to be out the market again. So it all depends on the mortgages as well, because if there's not access to lending, then there's going to be less demand. And not many people have got that liquidity to buy the properties cash. So again, that's where demand could slowly start slipping, and obviously more stock coming on the market, and that's when the prices go down. So again, it's quite a tough one, because I genuinely don't know which way we're going to go in, to be fair. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens in the next 6 to 12 months, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds like a lot of work for yourself coming through at the moment, definitely. I was going to just say, like, I wondered what was influencing the sort of market in terms of people wanting to buy property, but I think you kind of touched on it there. Obviously, you said a number of people might be separating or divorced, or is it people like younger people where they just actually think, right, I need to move out of home and want to buy a property? Is that what's certainly changing now? Like you said, obviously, a lot more first-time buyers are looking at properties and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, do you know what it is? I think because lockdown, what are people doing? They're spending day in, day out in the house. So a lot of people are probably thinking, do I really want to be staying in this house during lockdown? So at the back end of it, they're probably thinking, right, I want a new house, or, especially now with the way that we're moving into the digital era, and working from home is going to be massive, I think, now after this. So people are even looking at houses with an extra bedroom so they can make a home office. There's so many different factors that come into it. So people want to, downscale maybe because they maybe think the house is too big, or upscaling because they need a bigger house for an extra room. So I suppose it's different things. And then, a lot of my clients are overseas. So the exchange rate at the moment for the pound, it's massively advantageous for them. So they want to put money into the market. And the kind of way I'm looking at it is the offers that I'm putting forward to people, I'm making sure that I factor in and have a bit of a contingency in my offer. So if I'm offering, I make sure that I offer at least 10 to 15% below what they're asking, just to make sure that if anything was to happen with the property market, that's actually included in the price. So you've got that flexibility either side. So again, it's just a bit of a stepping into the unknown at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that certainly kind of came into my mind, if I was to invest in anything right now, I think I was thinking about office space, in terms of like, if you could buy like an office space and creating it into like a hot desk situation where people can like rent a space to work as an office, like, daily or weekly something. I think that's something, especially with the way like office scenarios are going, where they're probably going to downscale now after looking at this, because they realise that the bills are going to be down. They're not having to put much effort in. People work just as hard from home, if not better.
Yeah.
And giving people maybe that opportunity where they're not working from home from a couple of days a week. I'm sure a hot desk situation is going to be probably booming in maybe 12 months' time. And I think that's certainly something I think people should get on.
100%, yeah, because I think exactly how you said it, we're probably going to see a drop in the prices for commercial, because as you've just said it there, there's going to be all the offices that are not going to be able to be making the money, because no one's going to want to rent them out, or, utilize them, because it probably is the hot desks, where people have a shared space, where there's a bit of a community involved as well. Because I was in a shared office as well last year, and to be honest with you, it was great, because it was a great place where you could actually have like a professional area where you could have your client meetings and stuff like that, and it was good to just go to a place of work. But at the same time, since all this has happened, it's made me realize, and other people as well, I'm sure, that working from home is just as good. You can go to a coffee shop for a meeting, or you can hire somewhere for a meeting. So there's ways around it, and it keeps your overheads very, very low. And I think in terms of business, if you can keep your overheads low, it basically means that you're going to have more profit, essentially. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next 12 months, because I do think we're having a massive shift. It's obviously moving into that tech digital era. But it's just going to be interesting to see how businesses work and how businesses like utilize all this, what's going on, and move forward from it. Because I feel as though where there's uncertainty, there's opportunity, and I think people are seeing that now.
Yeah, definitely agree. Like you said, it's certainly moving into a digital age, and if you was in the digital age before this, you're just laughing, really, rubbing your hands together, knowing that you was prepared for this sort of experience. Exactly. I wanted to just talk about on terms of viewings, just from a personal point of view. I've got someone that's obviously selling a house just across the road from myself, and obviously viewings have now changed, and in terms of now people are not even able to be in their own house while someone basically looks around your property to view
Yeah.
it to decide if they want to buy it. How long do you think that's going to be going on for? Is it something that will change hopefully soon, or do you think that's just the new way forward?
You know what? It's hard to say, to be honest, because again, I keep saying it, but because we're moving into a digital era, I wouldn't be surprised because we've already started seeing it now. You know, doing these online viewings
Yeah.
where the agent will actually go around rather just with a normal camera or something and record the full property so that you kind of feel like you're viewing it. Or now they're bringing in these 360 cameras where you can actually get a full virtual tour of the property. Now, me personally, I think that's probably going to be where we're shifting to, because at the end of the day, like any kind of business person, they want to think, right, well, time's precious. Time is money, essentially. So if you can save time by not having to go physically to that property and viewing it physically, and you can just do it by sat at the own comfort of your own home, your office or wherever it is, then that's going to save you time. And if you can get that virtual tour, it's probably be a couple of minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes max of having a really good look around on a virtual tour. And then you can make a decision as to how much it's going to cost for the refurb, how much you could potentially get on the back end of the valuation once you've added the value to it. And it just makes it easier and more time efficient to do it that way. So I think we'll probably transition to that side. But then, for the people who actually like to physically be there and physically see the things, and I think people will carry on. So I think there's always going to be a market for someone physically going there. But in terms of obviously what's happening at the moment and people having to stand outside while they view the property, I don't think that's going to be too long, to be honest. I just think that's, once all this blows over, if it does, then it probably will get back to normality to some degree. I don't think it'll ever be what it was before.
No.
But you probably might have to wear like PPE or, keep the social distancing to a degree, or making sure that you're carrying hand sanitizer around all the time. You just don't know. But yeah, like I said, it's going to be interesting because I don't think anyone knows which way it's going to go, but I do think it's definitely moving more towards the digital side. So yeah.
I'm sure that'll suit you down to the ground, especially for yourself. If you're looking at so many properties in a day, like you can probably get through a handful more properties rather than wasting your journey. Certainly, looking at them, that'll be ideal for yourself. Certainly, if you're looking to purchase them for them.
Yeah, 100%. Because you're saving time, you're saving money. I mean, it's great for our sourcing side of the business because our overseas investors. A handful of them, I've actually come down to Hull and I've met them in person, which has been great because I'm a people's person, so I like the human interaction.
Yeah.
But for those that I haven't met and I've just been introduced over Zoom and stuff like that, it's good for us because any deals that we get accepted off market, which we predominantly focus on, then we can do a virtual tour ourselves, send it to them. They can actually see the property and actually feel as though they're physically there. And then obviously they can make a decision as to whether they want to move forward with that potential deal. And another thing I'll quickly touch on as well is virtual reality, because I think that is something that will be shifting in eventually as well. Putting the headsets on, using that 360 tour, so you actually feel like you're in the house. Because I mean that's something that I'm looking into. Because I'd love to be able to adapt that into my business at some point as well. Again, for my overseas investors, it worked brilliantly for them. And yeah, I think it'll speed up the process and, essentially save you time and make you money.
Yeah, I agree with you on virtual reality. I think that's something that people will touch. Certainly, it'll go bigger and bigger. Like that's a great point to put that in the property aspect. And I think, like you say, that'll certainly be a good way of selling property to people. It's certainly a good way of doing it. I was just going to quickly touch on again is like how important is your community aspect to speak to these sort of real estate agents and landlords or potential buyers to try and get the sales or get the sort of communication across to them.
Yeah, I think it's massive, to be honest. As I mentioned earlier, your network is your net worth. So at the end of the day, that's an investment in your time. Going out, speaking to people, consistently speaking to them as well, like with the agents and stuff. I mean, me personally, I've got a selected handful of estate agents that I deal with that I've built a relationship with over time. hence why, they bring me deals usually off market before they actually put it on the market. And then if I can, marry it up with a buyer, then obviously we do. But that again comes with time, and it does take time to build these relationships and build that kind of community, if you like. But again, as I say, it's an investment. Going out and going to networking events, going out, speaking to agents, going out and meeting investors, meeting clients, and just putting yourself out there again. And social media, that is the biggest community to be involved in, because that's why I'm so prolific on it, and basically posting all the time, showing what I'm doing, kind of sharing your story almost, the ups and downs, so that people can really relate to it. Because if you just show all the positives, it's that perceptional positioning where if people just see all the positives, they're like, well, hang about, are you just like on a constant like positive journey?
Showing your best life all the time instead of yeah.
And Instagram's a prime example of that, with all these people, models and stuff like that. It's like, well, hang about, you probably get a hell of a lot more lows than you do highs. And I think people relate more to story. Like, people relate more to the highs, the lows, because that's just life. Business, there's more highs than there is lows, but the lows obviously make the highs so much more better when you actually reach them.
Yeah.
So yeah, social media is another one to utilize in terms of like community and stuff, and sharing what you're doing, because people, on the sidelines are watching what you're doing, but maybe don't engage. And I've found a lot of our angel investors, that funded some of my own deals through social media, just because they're watching and they're seeing my journey, and they can actually relate to it, and they actually see that you're working hard to achieve the things like that you want in life, and then they're more inclined to join you because they've kind of built trust through a platform, believe it or not.
Yeah. Can I just ask you this? I didn't actually have this on my questions, but basically with, social media and your stuff like sharing, do you ever suffer with any imposter syndrome or anything like that? Do you ever feel like when you put sharing things, do you think, oh, I don't know about that or stuff? Or do you find you're all right with what you
all the time?
All the time, yeah.
I mean, when I first started, more so then, like,
yeah.
I felt as though I wasn't worthy to post something like that, or I wasn't knowledgeable to post certain things about property because I hadn't been in it that long and didn't have a lot of experience. I was thinking, oh, people are going to judge me. I was caring what people think about me, essentially, because I'm an empath. So people who are empaths, they care what people think. And I mean, yeah, I still care what people think about me, but I've shut off to it. Like,
yeah.
I think now, because I've kind of built up the calluses and stuff like that of not giving a shit what people think about me, regardless of what I post and stuff like that. Now it's like, you're going to get critics, you're going to get trolls, you're going to get people who, question what you're doing and stuff like that. But 9 times out of 10, if someone says something negative about you, it's because they don't have the drive and the mindset that you have to be able to achieve that. So it could be jealousy, or, it could be absolutely anything. But I just think to myself, if you're getting that, then you're on the right track, essentially. But yeah, I do suffer with imposter syndrome. I still now, that's something that I still battle with on a basis. But again, it's having the mindset to make that shift and think about the longer goals and a longer picture of it. Because at the end of the day, if you're posting something, it could bring in investors, it could bring in clients. You just don't know what it is. So it's about being consistent and just not giving a shit what people think, essentially.
Yeah, I got that from Stoicism. A lot of stuff I've read this year has been through that, and I certainly get like that element where it's just like, just try and not care what people think. Just put it out there, and if people love it, people will tell you, and that's it, really. So
it's having that quantitative mind. It's like having that Stoicism of philosophy where, you observe but you don't react. And I think that's essential in like your posting on your Facebook and stuff, because if you react to somebody rather than observing it and just like letting it pass, or kind of reacting in a good way, like if someone gives you a negative thing, just respond in a really positive way, thanks for your feedback, or I'll take that on board, or something like that, and flip it on its back. Because I think Stoicism is like something that I've lived by since meditation, because the meditation I was doing was pretty much the Stoicism philosophy of observing what's going on around you and just not reacting, or if you're reacting in the best possible way. So you're not exerting too much energy or too much negative energy.
No, that's great. Like I say, I think that's certainly something you see all the time. You see people, even like someone will get cut up by a car or something, and they react, and like the best way is just to ignore it and stuff. It's just funny to watch people I think that comes a little bit, I'm going to probably touch on a book here, Chimp Paradox, where people's in a chimp, bang, it reacts, rather than actually take a few seconds and then.
Well, that book really, well, in fact, you know what? I've read a little bit of the book, but I actually heard the author speak one time at a seminar for an hour. And honestly, the way that he summarized it within that hour, I didn't have to read the book because it was just so powerful. And then that was a penny drop moment in terms of my mindset as well, because, you know, sometimes it's just a natural reflex, like using your aggression in a car, for example, that you just mentioned. Like, it's so easy. If someone cuts you up, it's like, fucking hell, you know. But I think sometimes if you say, hang about, why did I just do that? That was it. That was my inner chimp. You know, that's not me. You know what I mean? So it's about observing why you did that and what triggered it. And as soon as you can get control of that, you're laughing.
Yeah, definitely. Like I've worked with children for probably the best part of 8 years in coaching environments and school environments. So I see that all the time. Particularly, I work mostly now with SEN children, like, you know, special educational needs. And obviously I see that in a chimp all the time. Like, I see it, it's just a reaction straight away. I'm not doing that bang, it goes off. And like, I just watch it and I just think, yeah, I try to think about that, how they must be dealing with that. I know there's books now for children with that, but it's such a thing to think about, you know, just to think before you react. It's certainly
And that's the thing. And I think it's making sure that you respect everybody, because everybody's different. And, you know, everyone's mindset is different, you know. So someone like me and you with a mindset with, you know, self-development, you're constantly reading, you're constantly learning. Not everybody's like that. And that's okay. You know, there's no right or wrong way of being able to live your life. As long as you're happy, that's all that matters. You know, I think at the end of the day, society needs balance. And if somebody's happy, you know, going to work, you know, living for the weekend, there's nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely fine. If they're happy and they're fulfilled, then yeah, I'm an advocate of that as well. But then in terms of the self-development, if you're into self-development, then, you know, happy days is no right or wrong way.
That's great. What I want to just do now is ask you a bit more like futuristic questions. So the first question I want to ask you is, what would be your perfect day? What would bring you the most fulfillment, not sort of pleasure? So it's more fulfillment.
More fulfillment. Poor.
Yeah, but it's got to be, I'll tell you this now, it can't be on a beach or something like that. It's got to be sort of, maybe it's still in all, or wherever you plan to live in the future.
Yeah, God. I'd probably say, obviously, just starting your days as you do. I'd probably say a good half of the day, maybe doing some business, and, you know, you get a big opportunity accepted, because the excitement that's involved in that is second to none. Honestly, it's an amazing experience of, you know, all the ups and downs, and it comes to that moment of when you actually get some massive positive news that comes to you. So yes, I'd probably say that, you know, I woke up, done my day-to-day morning routine and stuff, and started, you know, my daily business, and yeah, just got the news of maybe a big deal accepted, and then spending the afternoon with family and friends, and just enjoying the time with them, because that's something that I've really come to realize over this lockdown period, is, you know, how I've took family and friends for granted, because, you know, I was that absorbed in business and wanting to make a success of it, that I was neglecting family and friends and stuff like that. And that's what life's not about. That, you know, you've got to have your family and friends around you, because that's like a massive key to your, you know, your success, and a massive motivator, and having a balance. So yeah, I'd probably say half a day of business, half a day of going out and enjoying myself. But yeah, if I can't say beach, geez, I'd probably traveling, you know, because I absolutely love traveling. So being able to create that kind of life for myself where I could just travel. So whether it was just traveling to a new destination for half a day, exploring somewhere new with family and friends, then that'd probably be my perfect day.
Yeah, that's great what you talked about there. And I certainly think that you mentioned there, like, obviously time is certainly something that's become a thing in lockdown, just having that time to sort of spend with people, or, you know, then you just don't realize how valuable it is. Now I'm going to ask you another question. Now, this question isn't one I've asked before, and it's a question my girlfriend got asked on an interview this week. And I think it's a really deep question, but what does it mean to be human?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's deep, isn't it?
Just a
what
bit.
Does it mean to be human? Jeez. I'll have to have a good think about this one. Well, I'm a massive advocate of giving back, helping people. And I think as humans, you know, we're put on this planet not to just go by our day-to-day lives. I think it's more than that. I think there's a reason why we're all on this planet, you know, and everybody's unique in their own different way. But I suppose my own way and philosophy, if you like, of being human is being able to achieve my purpose in life to then be able to help as many people as I possibly can to then find their purpose, to help them. Because I think there's so many people just floating around life knowing that they're not happy in what they're doing, but they don't 100% know what the purpose is. So being able to help them uncover their purpose would be a great way for me to be able to give back and be human. That's caught me off guard a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
I thought I might do, but I just thought I'd throw that in there and just see what your sort of philosophy on that would be. Like I say, I know you asked me before, like we recorded this about, why what Stayhumble is. And for me, it's just to help, like say, one person. It doesn't have to be, I'm not trying to help everybody, but if it can help one person change something that might help them, then that's, I feel fulfilled from that. And certainly, that's what I'd like to, I think, with my purpose in terms of life is just to help people and, think about them in that way. So I don't know, but I definitely agree with you that on being human. I just like sat there and thought like that for ages. I couldn't think what to say to that. It's deep.
I think it's very much to do with like philosophy and your own philosophy and the way of thinking. Because again, I suppose it comes down to stoicism, and it also comes down to again helping people and being as one. Because at the end of the day, everything that's going on in the world at the moment, and I know it's pretty cliche, but again, all being equal, and not living with wars that are going on, and just acceptance as well. I think is the biggest thing. But yeah, being human should be about helping other people, lifting people up when they're falling down, and just giving back and being there together through your journeys. Best way I could really summarize it.
No, I think you answered that greatly. What I'm going to ask you now is a bit easier. Is what's your sort of ambitions for the rest of the year, and then potentially maybe giving us a bit more like in terms of what your ambitions are for the future as well.
Yeah. So obviously, ambitions longer term is to build multiple businesses, not just in property. So having like a few different businesses in different areas, and basically just to be able to have that the time freedom to do what I want when I want. Money's no object. I can treat my family and friends, and be able to just go do the things I want to do. And one of the biggest things is traveling. Now, if I can do that with close family and friends and bring them along on the journey as well, I mean, that would be brilliant. And then not only that is as I mentioned earlier about giving back. So whether that's helping people in their businesses, so once I'm credible enough to be able to help people in their businesses, kind of being like a mentor, if you like, and a coach, helping other people realize their purpose and realize their abilities of what they can achieve. So, and helping pull people out. So, because I think, mental health, I'm a massive advocate of that, because I still work part-time for the social services. I do that 2 days a week. Now, there's been a few times that I could have quite easily finished and, gone full-time in business. But to be totally honest with you, I love what I do, because in that job, I get to help people. So I'm not in a rush to get rid of it, to be honest. And it's always good to have a safety net in terms of income. Long-term ambition to be able to help people as well, to help utilize my experience, my knowledge, my network, and help give back to others and help them be able to achieve the life that they've always wanted to achieve.
No, that's great that you give that time to people and offer that, that with social service, and that you still feel that's part of you and that you still want to help. That's a great thing to have. And obviously that you want that for your family as well, to be able to experience that traveling with you as well is a great thing to aspirate towards. Right. So my final question for you is, what makes you stay humble?
What makes me stay humble? I'd probably say my purpose, and knowing my, where I've come from. Because I've grew up and, I've been through a lot of ups and downs myself, and, everybody's different and gone through their own experiences. I'm sure I've not had bad experiences as some people have. But it's just, I suppose it's staying humble to your roots, where you've come from. And no matter where I get to, I will always look back at my childhood and stuff like that, of where I came from, and think about that journey and the things I've had to endeavour to be able to get to where I am. And that will keep me humble, because I think at the end of the day, it's about living your life and living your journey, if you like, to get into where you want to get to, and helping other people along the way, and staying humble along that process. Because you get some people that, they'll get to they become multimillionaires or what have you, and then they'll totally change. The mindset will change. It's almost as though they've reached the pinnacle, and then they forget about everybody underneath them. Whereas, again, coming back to the question about being human and what it means to you, it's about bringing other people up with you as well. It's not about being at the top and then that's it, just stay at the top and surround yourself with the people at the top. It's about bringing other people along the way, and staying humble along your journey.
Yeah,
so very long-winded question, a long-winded answer.
Yeah, I agree with you on that aspect. Cause like you say, if those that hit that sort of point where they earn so much money, where they get into that, so you're millionaire, billionaire, they just become entitled. They might think they've become entitled and they can have things and stuff, and it's not about that. It's about trying to still be that same person and not to change and stuff like that. I definitely think that's a great point, like you said, and certainly bring people up with you. Help them aspire to do the same. I think that's a really good point. So I really appreciate you coming on today, Matt. Where can people reach out for you?
So on the socials, LinkedIn, Matthew Mcsherry. You've got Facebook, Matt Mcsherry. And then on Instagram, you've got my True Property Group page. So it's just at the True Property Group. And that's where you'll find my Mindset Matters mini-series. And then just my own personal page on Instagram is Matt_Mcsherry. And if anyone's got any questions, property related, business related, if I can answer them, I will do my best to do so. And just hit me up, add me on the socials, and I'll do my best.
No, thank you very much, Matt, for coming on today. I think really appreciate you giving me your time and certainly delving into certainly your purpose. That was really interesting. Talking about you traveling helps you find your purpose and where you are now, and obviously now the opportunity to get back into work and go from there now, really, and go for your property. And I think it's a great opportunity now for you to sort of strike gold in terms of getting all these properties. I definitely think so. I just wanted to say, thank you for coming on and giving me your time.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on your podcast. I think, as I said earlier, it's great what you're doing, and it's great to be able to help people through Stay Humbled, because at the end of the day, I'm sure there's many learnings that people can take from the people that you're interviewing, and even if it takes one new thing that you've learned in the interview, then your job is done.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you again.
Yeah, thanks a lot, mate.
Take care.